David here from Figboot on Pens. Today we're going to take a look at a very unique pen. It's a pen that's no longer produced, and this particular model was a limited edition. So I present to you the Pilot M90. A bit of backstory with this pen. Back in the 70s, the Pilot produced a very similar pen called the MYU 701. I don't know if that's Mu or MYU, but we'll just call it the MYU 701, and it was subsequently discontinued, but for Pilot's 90th anniversary back in 2008, they produced a pen very similar to this, or similar to the MYU 701, and they called it the M90. And only 9,000 of these were made worldwide, and now they're a little bit difficult to get a hold of. And this particular pen actually belongs to a coworker of mine who was looking to sell it. And I was able to help him find a buyer, and I needed to ship this off tomorrow, which is why I'm doing this review at night, and so the lighting isn't as optimal as I would like it to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the features of the M90. I'm going to tell you some of the things I like and some of the things I don't like. We'll go over some measurements, and then we'll do a writing sample. So first of all, capped, the M90 is very short. It is just slightly larger than a Kaweco Sport and very similar in length to a TWSBI Mini. You can see here. You can see that the cap is actually longer than the barrel. The cap's actually longer than the barrel here. And it has a decent clip. If I can get my fingers on it. And then on the sides, it's a little hard to see, but it does say M90 here on the end of the clip. And then at the top of the cap, you can see here that they have a deep blue semi-transparent mineral stone that's called a Shinshoseki. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's what it's called. And then at the base of the cap, it actually says Pilot Japan on the base of the cap as well. It does have a snap cap, and that the distinguishing feature about the M90 is that it has what's called an integral nib. And an integral nib means that the nib is made out of the very same material that the section is. And in this particular pen, you can see that it is stainless steel, and the nib is solid. There is no physical nib. It is all one piece. And so in this case, this is stainless steel, and that it gives it a very futuristic look and a very modern look, and it's very stunning. There's nothing really out there that compares to it that I'm aware of. You can see it has a solid feed, and then we'll just get a little close-up of the nib so you can see what the nib looks like. Down here at the bottom of the section, it actually has the numbers 309 and the letter M. I'm assuming M is for medium. 309, I'm not quite sure if, since this was a limited edition, that's an actual limited edition number or the number of the pen, or if it's just something to do with the manufacturing process. I'm not certain. But the nib itself is very surprising. I was very surprised that the nib is very smooth. Very little feedback, but very smooth for basically just being a solid nib there. It is a cartridge converter pen that could either take a proprietary Pilot cartridge, or it will take this Con 20 converter, which is one of the squeeze types. I'm not a huge fan of the squeeze converters, but the Con 20, especially in this pen, does a decent job. Without posting, the pen is very, very small, and not many people, you can see it basically disappears in my hand, and so not many people would be able to use this pen unposted. And it has a rather small section as well. And even though the pen is all metal, I don't find that the section is slick, and on some pens, if it's a slick section, I really have trouble holding my grip, and I don't find that to be the case in this pen. If anything, it's a little difficult to hold only because the section is a little bit smaller, but not because of the material. It's interesting that the same mechanism that on the barrel that holds the pen shut when you cap the pen actually is the same mechanism that is used when you post the pen, which is just kind of an interesting feature, an engineering feature to it, and I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. When capped, the pen is a much more reasonable length and is very comfortable. It does have a decent weight to it. It's about 28 grams, which is virtually the same as an inked Lamy 2000. So if you have one of those, that's about the weight of the pen. So if you're into unique pens with a futuristic design, then the Pilot M90 is definitely worth searching out and picking up. It's an interesting pen that has definitely grown on me, especially with the writing performance that we'll go over during the writing sample. So let's take a look at some measurements and then we'll do a writing sample. So here we go with the writing sample for the Pilot M90. So here we have the Pilot M90, and this is going to be a medium, and the ink is Diamine Midnight. Then we'll just do a little bit of a writing sample. Now the nib is very, very smooth and does lay down a decent amount of ink. I would almost liken this to more of a Western medium than a Japanese medium. So it is much thicker than a traditional Japanese medium. You can get a little bit of flex out of there, but it's not something that it's really meant for. And let's see what kind of line variation we can get a little bit out of there. And in regard to reverse writing, which is actually surprisingly well. It is a little scratchy when it's reversed, but you can get a little bit more of a line here. So let's see how it does with some fast writing. And it keeps up perfectly fine. So the design of this pen, while unique, didn't initially appeal to me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just didn't match up well with my tastes. I will say, however, that the writing performance of the pen really won me over, and that I'll regret a little having to put this in the mail tomorrow, but I'm sure that its new owner will enjoy it greatly. So that was the Pilot M90, and I appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.